Have you ever had anybody tell you that as a loan officer, you should be reading guidelines every day? You should be learning as much as you can. Well, I had a mentor tell me that I should be reading guidelines every day. So I decided I would find somebody reading guidelines to me on a podcast or on a YouTube channel, and I would listen to guidelines every day as I worked on something that I found more interesting. Well, unfortunately, I failed to find anyone, so I have to be that someone. So here it is. Multiple financed properties for the same borrower. I can tell you this is going to be a three-parter. We're going to talk about limits on the number of financed properties today. So, limits on the number of financed properties. The following table describes, this topic contains information on multiple financed properties for the same borrower. I've been told, I've heard that if you're a borrower, you can only have so many mortgages, 4 or 5 or something like that. Well, seems to be that answer. The following table describes the limits that apply to the number of financed properties a borrower may have. Principal residence, transactions other than home ready loans. Okay, so it's a transaction. It's other than a home ready loan. In other words, if you've got a bunch of other properties, you can't do a home ready loan. I think that's what that means. But maximum number of financed properties, there's no limit. Now, I'm interested in that. That makes me think. Let's say that I buy a house, I live in it for 12 months, and then I turn it into a rental and I buy another one and I live in it for 12 months and I get up to the point to where I have more than is allowed. Like, for example, this says on home ready loans, DU and manually underwritten written 2. So if you want to do a home ready loan and you have DU and manually underwritten written 2. I don't know if that means that you have 2 rental properties and you're trying to buy a principal residence with a home ready loan. You can have the third, or if 2 would be the limit. In other words, you can only buy your second home, your first primary residence, but you have one other investment property. Maybe we'll find the answer. Maybe that'll unveil itself later in this wording. But then the second home or investment property, all transactions, you can't have more than 10. According with DU, you can't have more than 10. And remember, everything that we're doing is Fannie Mae guidelines, so you can't have more than 10. Exception: high loan-to-value refinance loans are exempt from the multiple finance property policies. High loan-to-value refinance loan and borrower eligibility. For additional information on these loans, the number of finance property calculations includes the number of 1 to 4 unit residential properties where the borrower is personally obligated on the mortgage, even if the monthly housing expense is excluded from the borrower's debt to income in accordance with monthly debt obligations. The number of finance property calculations includes the total number of property financed, not the number of mortgages on the property, nor the number of mortgages sold to Fannie Mae with multiple unit properties, such as 2 unit counting as one property. Okay, so the total number of properties with multiple unit properties counting as 1 unit. So you got a quadruplex, it still counts as 1. The borrower's principal residence, if it is financed, and okay, so what do we include? The number of financed properties calculations includes the principal residence. It includes the total number of properties financed, and you count duplexes as 1, quads as 1. The number of 1 to 4 unit residential properties where the borrower is personally obligated on the mortgage, even if the monthly housing expense is excluded from the borrower's debt to income. And the fourth thing here is the cumulative total for all borrowers. Though jointly financed properties are only counted once, for home-ready loans, financed properties owned by a non-occupant co-borrower that are owned separately from the borrower are excluded from the number of financed properties calculation. In other words, if you bought a house with dad, and dad was your non-occupying co-borrower, and he has 17 properties financed, we're not going to count those against you. I think that's the way I read it. Please follow up with me, make a video, comment, do whatever you need to help me, correct me. I want to learn. I'm doing this for my learning. I'm just recording it, so I'm doubling my efforts. The following property types are not subject to these limitations, even if the borrower is personally obligated on a mortgage on the property. Commercial real estate doesn't count. Multifamily property consisting of more than 4 units. So you got a housing complex with, or an apartment building with 1750 units, it doesn't count. Ownership in a town timeshare doesn't count. Ownership of a vacant lot doesn't count. Okay, even if you've got a mortgage on a vacant lot, that doesn't count. Ownership of a manufactured home on a leasehold estate not titled as real property. If you are understanding that immediately, please message me, comment. I don't know that I did. Chattel lien on the home. When I think of chattel, never mind. I probably shouldn't. I immediately think of like, I think my brain flashes back to times of misogyny when women were considered, property or something. But I'm sure that that's wrong and that was inappropriate and I shouldn't even have said it. Please don't comment about my inappropriate comments. Okay, we're going to read these examples and be finished with this video. A home-ready borrower is purchasing a principal residence and is obligated on a mortgage securing an investment property. A non-occupant co-borrower is solely obligated on mortgages securing 3 investment properties. In this instance, the transaction is eligible for home-ready as the occupant borrower will have 2 financed properties. The non-occupant co-borrower's finance properties are not included. I think that does help us answer that question we had earlier, or I had earlier, about this number 2 here, because they are counting that as 2. See that? They're counting the principal residence and the securing an investment property. Okay, next example. The borrower is personally obligated on mortgages securing 2 investment properties, and the co-borrower is personally obligated on mortgages securing 3 other investment properties, and they are jointly obligated on their principal residence mortgage. The borrower is refinancing the mortgage on one of the 2 investment properties. Thus, the borrowers have 6 financed properties. Okay. The borrower and co-borrower are purchasing an investment property and they are already jointly obligated on mortgages securing 5 other investment properties. In addition, they each own their own principal residence and are personally obligated on the mortgages. The new property being purchased is considered the borrower's 8th. Okay, so the way we came to 8 is the 5, and then their personals, that's 6, 7, and then the new property is considered the 8th. There we go. The borrower is purchasing a second home, is personally obligated on his or her principal residence mortgage. Additionally, the borrower owns 4 2-unit investment properties that are financed in the name of the LLC, of which he or she has a 50% ownership. Okay, owns 4-unit investment properties, so that's those count. Because the borrower is not personally obligated on the mortgages securing the investment properties, whoa, wait a minute. The borrower is purchasing a second home is personally obligated on his or her principal residence. Additionally, the borrower owns 4 2-unit investment properties that are financed in the name of the LLC. Oh, okay, so they're not in his name. The borrower is not personally obligated on the mortgages securing the investment properties. They are not included in the property count, and the result is only 2 financed properties. That would be very important if this was their 8th or 9th property. Not sure why it's important when it's 2. Let's look at this last example. The borrower is purchasing and financing 2 investment properties simultaneously. Okay. The borrower does not have a mortgage lien against his or her personal residence or principal residence, but does have a financed second home and is personally obligated on the mortgage, 2 existing financed investment properties, and is personally obligated on both mortgages, and a financed building lot. Building lot doesn't count. 2, 3, there we are at 3, because you got the second home, the 2 investments. In this instance, the borrower will have 5 financed properties because the financed building lot is not included in the properties. Okay, we had 3 and we're adding 2 because remember, he's financing 2 investment properties. I said he, could have been she. Shouldn't have said that. Again, hey, thank you for learning with me. If you think, why on earth is this idiot doing this? I'm doing it for me. Don't listen if you're not interested. If this is not for you, just click on to another channel. But I'm doing this because I need to learn all I can, keep learning, ever growing, always learning. If you don't have a great place to learn, if you don't have a great company to work for, and you're interested, I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to be your partner, be your mentor, help you grow your business. Again, this is a self-generated mortgage company, but it's an ESOP, and I love working with Churchill Mortgage and believe in this company that I'm a part owner in, and you could be too. If you're in North Carolina, I would absolutely love to talk to you. We need more branches in North Carolina, especially if you're already self-generating and doing business. This might be the best next step for you.